Also, because I kind of haven't been on Reddit like at all lately, so that is the plan for today. I'm kind of going in without a big plan. But yeah, I'm very excited as always. We're gonna do some up close whispering, and I'm gonna do some mic scratching while I read the stories. So, you know, these are always long videos, so get comfortable, get chill, relax, get a drink, get a snack, and we'll get started after I quickly tell you not to mind my missing nail on my thumb. I had a little accident. I was bowling yesterday, and I cannot bowl for I really tried. Okay, I got better like every round. Tough times. And yeah, I managed to lose my nail. So that happened. It like is somewhere down the alley. However, I couldn't be bothered, you know, doing my nails at 8 in the morning, so we're just kind of vibing without it. But like realistically, you kind of don't usually see my thumb. Anyway, so we will just get going after I quickly remind you to like and subscribe. As always, yeah, come join the fam. Turn on your notifications so you are notified when I upload, because sometimes life can get a lot, and my uploads aren't as regular as I would love to, so make sure you turn your bell on. But let's now actually get started, and let's have a look. I'm on the MIDASL subreddit, and we'll just look for top, and then this month. Alright. Ooh, the first one is already great. Okay, the first story is called Am I the Asshole for Telling My Best Friend I Understood Why His Fiancé Is So Disappointed That He Proposed to Her at the Gym? This is spicy, okay. I, 27 female, was excited when my best friend, 27 male, told me he had proposed to his girlfriend, 29 female. He said he had the proposal on video. I was so confused when the video started out in a woman's gym. When I saw his girlfriend on an exercise machine in the video, I had a bad feeling. She looked so shocked, and she said yes. She only looked happy for about 2 minutes, and the rest of the time she gave an insincere smile. My best friend expressed frustration that his fiancée had confessed she wasn't happy with the proposal. After he asked her why she looked so sad, he was venting to me and asked me how I felt if a guy proposed to me while I was at the gym. I guess he really expected me to agree with him, but I said I would hate it. I said I don't want to be proposed to when I'm sweaty and stinky at the gym. I basically explained to him that I understood why she was disappointed. My best friend called me shallow and a bad friend. Am I the asshole? Alright, so the overall vote on this story was not the asshole, and I feel like we can all be in agreement on this one. I would absolutely lose my freaking shit also just be two people who agree on getting married, or the girl asking whatever. However, I always think that needs to be a conversation between the two people actually getting married, and it has to work for them. And I feel like a lot of men specifically, I'm sorry for the man hate, but a lot of men specifically don't understand that, a proposal is about what your girlfriend likes, or your boyfriend in whatever case, whatever. But it's about what your partner would want, what your partner would want to get proposed to. And I feel like it says a lot about how well you know your partner if you pull something like this. Like went out to the grocery store, could have probably got the ring there as well. I don't know. I feel like, okay, listen, I feel like the gym, your workplace, the sauna, the supermarket, the parking lot, these are obviously the servo. I don't know how it's called in American English, like the service station where you fuel your car, like the recycling, in front of the bins, all not probably the best ideas to propose to your girlfriend. I mean, I feel like proposals and what you want to be proposed to is so personal, but I feel like they're ruling out the gym as a very unlikely thing for many girls. Except, if you're really into the gym and it's kind of your absolute jam. But even then, I feel like most girls would kind of prefer something a little more romantic, a little more dressed up, a little more, and this is probably what I'm the biggest on, a little more. We have actual, like a little bit of privacy, and we can do something afterwards, like I'm not having to continually work out. Do you come home and shower? Like, what is happening afterwards? And I do feel like he didn't really think about that. And he didn't really think about how to make this proposal a little more romantic for his girlfriend. And I feel like his friend was very valid in telling her opinion, especially because we already established that the girlfriend in fact did not enjoy this proposal. I'm surprised she said yes, in all honesty. I mean, I feel like this is a hard question, like if your partner would propose to you in like a really weird proposal that you absolutely hate, do you say no just because of that? Or do you factor in your entire relationship and how everything went, because I don't know, obviously, like if my partner would propose to me at the gym, not that there's that big of a risk because I don't go to the gym very often, I think I would say no in like the first instance, but then if he'd put some effort in and ask me again, I'd like say it, you know what I mean? But I would be very pissed off. However, let's read some comments on this. I'm actually surprised that this is the top story. It kind of feels so obvious, but okay. The top comment is, don't ask questions you aren't ready to hear the answer to. I mean, I agree with you. A gym is an odd place to propose unless there's a specific reason for it. Like that's where you meet and you love that story, or that's how you bond, or whatever. He's just upset that he disappointed disappointed his fiance and he needs to come to terms with that. Not the asshole, that's a super weird setting unless they're both major gym rats, and I'm always wary about super public proposals because it feels like the person doing the proposing is applying pressure. That is all. He asked you, you were honest, and he didn't like the answer. That's 100% on him. This response actually makes it worse. This feels like the kind of thing that was basically testing the fiance like she's going to be a cool girl. Or will she be disappointed by this thoughtless proposal? If he thinks you're shallow for not liking it, what does he think about her? Your friend doesn't sound like a great dude. I wouldn't want to be proposed at the gym. Listen, I definitely think he didn't really think properly about what he was doing, and now he's upset that no one enjoyed the proposal and he is actually in the wrong. And he'll somehow have to fix it, and I think that's why he's disappointed and sad and is projecting that. But I think we'll leave those. Because I fear this is an obvious one, okay? Do not propose to your partner at the gym. Period. But we'll move along and we'll read the next story. Okay, the next story is called Am I the Asshole for Putting My Hand Over My Sister-in-Law's Camera at my own birthday dinner after I told her no filming? Okay. I, 29 female, had a small birthday dinner last weekend with my husband, 31 male, sister-in-law Lena, 27 female, mother-in-law, and 2 friends at a normal but nice place. Lena is a influencer. She films literally everything: plates, forks, people breathing. 3 days before, I wrote in the family chat, please don't film me. Food room is fine, just not my face. She said, got you. We sit down and within like 10 minutes her phone is up. I say quietly, please don't point it at me. She goes, you look great, it's just the vibes. Husband backs me. She said no. Lena then rolls her eyes, lowers it for maybe 2 minutes. Then the cake comes, little sparkler, staff singing. Lena stands and points the camera right in my face, like birthday girl reveal. I put my hand over the lens and said, stop. I didn't grab the phone or touch her, just cover the camera for a second. She snaps that I ruined her shot, and that this is her job. Mother-in-law says to, I don't know, let it go for one night. I said that it's my night, actually, yeah. It got awkward fast. Server was right there. I felt embarrassed. Husband tried to change the subject, but Lena kept muttering about how she had to scrap everything. I even paid for my own dessert, long story, and we left pretty quick. Next morning, Lena texts that I humiliated her and made her look unprofessional in front of everyone. Mother-in-law says I should have moved seats if I didn't want to be in frame. Husband says my boundary is fair, but maybe I made a scene by doing it during the song when eyes were already on me. She's posted me before without asking, and co-workers mention it. I've asked her to blur/remove, and it turned into drama, which is why I set the boundary in writing before dinner. Why I might be the asshole, public place. I did physically block her shot, and yeah, it was during the song. I've got to stood up and turned away or something, but also I don't want to be online against my will. a problem of our time, but we have to stop, okay? This is a line in the sand. We have to stop filming and posting people without their consent. It is crazy to me, okay? The thing is, I feel like everyone has gotten so used to be so chronically online that a lot of people don't even think twice about the like privacy issues and stuff. And I don't know, I'm not sure how it is in America, because what I know is that you guys are definitely a bit more lax with the like rights on like your photo and stuff. But here in Germany, what I know, like we have super strict laws, and you're technically like you wouldn't be allowed to do this without, if someone like, you know, is in a shot, you could ask to remove it. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think even for like filming on the streets and stuff, and like randomly filming people, if it's like a super clear shot of someone's face and stuff, like you're not allowed to do that without their consent. I think there's like exceptions to like public places where you like expect to be filmed, but even that I'm not entirely sure if there's like a super close, super obvious shot of you. Germany technically is really strict about your photo and distribution of photos and videos, and I definitely think that even then there should be like a more, there maybe should be a lot more laws about it, because listen, you're posting your kids on the internet. Like that's a whole thing I don't want to get into, but you know, I think a little photo for your close friends and family, like it's fine if you have 700 Instagram followers, you know, like you are putting your child on the internet, let me tell you, okay, you are. And your child's gonna have to live with the consequences of that photo. However, you know, in a normal setting, it's totally fine, but you know where there are those like mummy influencers, and it's just absolutely bonkers what they post their children doing, and then there's like those creepy ass men in the comments, like absolutely fangirling over these little children, and then they'll be like, these kids will be in like all compromising positions, like crying, you know, in like underwear, in bathers, and they are filming and putting this on the internet. Truly, okay, and then these men in the comments, okay, and you can already see in the search bar, like, cute, oh my god, it makes me so angry. You're knowingly subjecting your child to being sexualized by unknown men on the internet. And let me tell you, we all know about that, like what was it? That group chat they found. I think that was European, wasn't it? Of these thousands of men sharing their like very, very gross fantasies and realities. Yeah. And let me tell you, like, the man is just taking screenshots and putting this everywhere, you know, like, I feel like, you know, awareness is missing sometimes, and this is just my opinion, but I would never, ever in my life, and I don't have that many Instagram followers, okay, I'll post anyone without their consent, like never, okay. And I don't know, I think you know this about me, but I'm like quite private, or I try my best when I'm online. I think most people know this, but like I am always surprised because someone ends up not knowing it, but Freya is also not my actual name. It's kind of my YouTube name. And I kind of decided against using my actual name for like privacy obviously reasons. One, and I'm glad that it did, because there's very interesting people out there. Not you guys, but I know from one of my ASMR friends that she has had problems with a person kind of like really actually stalking her, and that is just very, very sick. And obviously something I would preferably avoid, you know. It's just not that fun, is it? And then the next reason is I am still in uni. I'm getting like a bioscience degree, and I've done my biology degree now, and now I'm going into biochemistry and molecular biology. So, you know, like realistically in the future, I'd want to do like publications and whatnot, and I kind of do not want everyone who's looking up a publication of mine to find my YouTube channel, and vice versa. I don't want everyone to know who knows my YouTube channel to be able to, you know, figure out the place I work at, because you can find publications that are linked to the uni or the place I work at and the people I work with. And I'm actually really grateful that I made this decision when I was quite young. I made this channel when I was 20, I think. So I'm quite happy I did. But yeah, I don't know. I would be so angry. I got very sidetracked, but back to the story. I would be so angry if someone just filmed me, especially after making the boundaries clear. Okay, you know, if you're an influencer, I get that that's your job, but you can respect people's boundaries and not film them, because in Germany this would be quite literally illegally. And as it should be, you know, I think you should have the right to your own photo, and you should have the right to decide if your photo, or if you are filmed, if you're photographed, and if that is put onto a public space, especially if Lena's an influencer, you know, and maybe a big one, who knows, you know. Like, I would not want that, you know, like, not, I think people who are chronically online and, you know, share their life online, it's a great thing, you know. I'm doing it as well. Like, I can't preach not sharing your life on the internet if I'm doing it, you know, but I think there needs to be mutual respect for people who do not want to share their life online and do not want to have to photo online. I don't know, I think this is something everyone needs to be able to decide themselves. I actually, this is a bit of a, I hope she's not watching this video, but I do also have a friend who likes to do like a lot of TikToks and Instagram photos of her life, you know. She's not like an influencer, or like, she would be at least like a very small one, you know. She's not actually like actively pursuing it, but she likes to do the occasional moment here and there, and she has posted both me and another friend of mine quite often without our consent and without asking us. And there's some weird photos of me online, on TikTok specifically, that I don't really want to be on social media, you know. Even my public, like my personal Instagram is quite bare, you know. There's the occasional holiday photo, but these are all photos. They're quite normal, you know, because I've always been really, really cautious about what I post in connection to my name. For, you know, the people who might see this in my future. And my friend just has zero inhibitions when it comes to that, and she does post everything online, and that is including me and my other friend. And biggest fan. However, I haven't brought it up yet because it's kind of weird and it hasn't been super bad yet. However, I was kind of recently somewhere with her. I'm trying not to be super specific so she would figure out. Anyway, and there were like videos taken of all of us, and we were drunk. It was kind of like for memory. It was like, if that ends up online, okay, I'm literally like, that one is not ending up online. But I kind of did say that beforehand, that I like would not want this to be online. So yeah, we'll see. I hope it doesn't end up online. It's not been online for like 3 months, so I hope she respects that. Because yeah, it just wouldn't be a good look for anyone. But it's nothing bad. It's just, you know, us like being funny and in like very casual, like, you know, it's not a good photo. I think I have like no makeup on it and stuff. Like I know you're being funny and like nothing bad or sad or anything, nothing controversial. It just, I did not want to be online like that. But yeah, long story short, I feel like I've blabbed on about this for like ages. Long story short, I don't think OP is the asshole at all. I think people should be more respectful about things like this. And in the end, you know, I'm a big advocate for, if it's preventable, like why not just try to make someone else's day? Like, if I was so into taking photos of literally everything and videos, and then I'm at the birthday party for my friends and they're like, hey, can you like not film today? Like, I don't want to be filmed. Like, seriously, I can take a day off, you know, like, it is their day, it is their birthday, and this is not an unreasonable request. Just, you know, don't. Just don't. But let's read some comments, because I feel like I cannot get to the point here. Detailed comment is, no, she made herself look unprofessional in front of everyone by behaving unprofessionally in front of everyone. Honestly, I would not invite her to things you host going forward until she can respect the most simple of requests. Don't film me. Not the asshole. Someone said to that 100% actual professionals obtain permission and consent when necessary. Slay. Okay, that's great. Not the asshole. If she wants to look professional in public, she should act professional in public. A professional respects other people, their space, and their privacy. A professional knows how to separate their job and their personal life when needed. A professional isn't so desperate for content that she'll railroad other people's comforts and wishes. Is she really 27 or is she 17? You're not part of her job. She doesn't get to commandeer you as a prop for her videos, and she doesn't get to seize control over your goddamn birthday event for it either. Someone said, bah, her job. Every idiot with a phone thinks they are an influencer. She does not have the right to use people without their permission as content. Your husband was wrong. You didn't make a scene. She did with her disrespect. You held your boundary and now she is butt hurt. Frankly, I would not share the same space with her. Seriously, I would not attend any event that she or parents were at, I guess. And she would not be invited to any event hosted by me or for me. I would also report any post that showed my face every single time. I would also comment on her post calling her out. Your husband owes you an apology. Yeah, truly, I think the mother-in-law and the husband do owe her an apology, because I hate when your partner's like not supportive. It's like a pet peeve of mine, okay? This would actually grind my gears a lot. Sana told us her mom was visiting for the upcoming weekend. For info, her mom is very conservative and religious and apparently doesn't approve of her daughter living with male roommates. Awkward because I exist. As a result, Sana asked if I could leave the apartment entirely for the day her mum was visiting. Like, be out the whole day and even find somewhere else to sleep overnight. I told her I wasn't comfortable with that because I had a major assignment due and I focus best when I'm working from home. I also didn't want to have to pack all my stuff and go stay somewhere else just to keep up an appearance for someone I don't even know. Additionally, I pay equal rent and felt like I had a right to be in the apartment. So, I try and compromise. I offered to stay in my room the entire day and be quiet, not come out at all, on the condition that I'd at least be allowed to quickly come out to make lunch or dinner, or they could just bring food to my room so I wouldn't starve. I genuinely thought that was fair and respectful. But no, Sana wasn't happy with that and insisted I should be out of the apartment entirely. She said her mom would freak out if she found a guy living there and would cause a lot of drama in her family. I said while I understood her position, I wasn't going to dip from my own home, especially with a big deadline hanging over me. She's still pissed and pretty cold towards me now, and also vented to our other roommate, who stayed neutral and said she saw both sides. I really wasn't trying to be difficult or disrespectful. I understand her cultural situation, but I also feel like it's unfair to expect someone to completely vacate the home just to accommodate someone else's family beliefs, especially when I tried to find a middle ground. So am I the asshole? Edit, Sana never chose to have male roommates, but it just so happened that she was practically bullied out of her old apartment, all female, for a conflict involving another girl, and this was her last resort. Also, I'm disheartened to see so much hate in the comments, and it enlightened me to be kinder and more understanding to Sana and her situation. This was never meant to start a debate in the comments, and I urge everyone to have more empathy and humanity here. I will also be going home and asking a friend if I can stay over for a day. For everyone concerned about how, if I let it bypass now, that it will happen again and again. I will speak to Sana about this properly and urge her to talk to her mom. Thank you all for the level-headed and empathetic comments. I did get that helped me understand her perspective better, as I do care for her greatly and never want to hurt her if I can help it. One day isn't the end of the world, and if it helps her, I've realized I'd be happy to do it. Okay, we kind of like spoiled my thoughts a little bit, and I kind of took ahead a little bit of the story, but the overall vote on this thread was not the asshole. We'll get into the comments in a little bit, but fundamentally, okay, I think, okay, he was really forthcoming with that kind of saying he's gonna hole up in his room the entire day. And like technically, okay, I think he could have stood his ground and said he didn't want to leave. Like realistically, realistically, Sana knows that this would be an issue with her mum coming. I think a lot of parents might have a problem with their daughter living with a man, religious or not, conservative or not. But I can definitely see how that could be quite the issue for her mother and would cause like a lot of issues with her family as well. I think the compromise would have been fair that he kind of stays in the room, you know, like, I don't know where, like, the bathroom is, if you'd have to, like, go to the toilet or whatnot. I do feel like that was a fair compromise. I'm sure Sana, you know, could have been a little more forthcoming with this, because in the end, like, it is not his problem. I will say, I think I'm usually always for empathy, and, you know, if you can help the situation, if you can really, like, you know, spare some issues with her mom, you could go, you know, somewhere, or like stay at a friend's house, stay at a family house, you know, whatever, as long as it's not impacting your life too much. But like, if we're talking about reasonable requests, it's not like the most reasonable ask to ask someone who lives in the apartment to like not be there for a day. You know, then maybe you cannot bring your mom, you know. Might have been, you know, my first thought. Let Sana can just unfortunately not bring her mom. Or like, you know, bring her to the apartment for an hour and take it to a nice hotel, you know. That could have been an option. I feel like it's not unreasonable for her to ask him, you know, you could ask. And if you're gonna know, you're gonna know, okay, this is ultimately really not his problem. If it comes down to it, okay? But as I said, sometimes it is just nice to do something nice for other people, especially people you like. I think hands down it is a bit of an unreasonable request, and her reaction to him saying no and offering a different solution would have kind of annoyed me, because he didn't like shut it down. I was like, no, you're like, what the fuck? He kind of tried to find a solution for it and try to support her with that. So that being said, I think, you know, being mad about that afterwards and then keep going on and not like finding a solution yourself, because like, I don't understand if the mom was gonna sleep there or not, but the mom, you could have just put in a hotel, you know, or only come over for an hour, and then that hour your roommate can go grab a coffee and not be there, whatnot. You know, it doesn't have to be a full 24 hours, in my opinion, okay? But I kinda get it. I also get, gonna say I get lying to your parents, but like, I've never lied to my parents about, oh, that's actually not true anyway. But I get, you know, if you're more liberal in that regard and you like are fine with living with a guy, but you don't want your parents to know, I like get that. I think sometimes, you know, the beliefs of our parents do not have to be our own beliefs. It doesn't mean that our parents' beliefs are inherently bad. It doesn't mean that your own beliefs are inherently good. They're just different. And ideally, both parties would respect each other's beliefs and, you know, what they choose to do in life. I always, you know, I always find it a bit sad if people don't support each other there, you know, like, I don't know, not the point of this story though, but I don't know. Let's read some comments. The top comment is, tell Sana that if she pays for hotel room, food delivery and any extra costs, you'll be happy to move out for the day. And that got 18,000 upvotes. Yeah, listen, I feel like it would be easier to not have that mom be in this place for like 24 hours, like, why is that not first thought? Like, why does the mom have to be there all day? In your student apartment, like, what are you even doing, you know? So you go see the city, text your roommates like 10 minutes before you're back home, you know? The next top comment says, not the asshole, she moved in with a man knowing this would most likely happen. She should have moved in with all movement then. She can eat up with her big girl pants on and face the music with her mum, or she can move out. See, I don't 100% agree with this. conversations that, you cannot get around, but then, I don't know. Like, obviously I don't know her parents and how her situation is, but if living with a man, was already like my last resort because something happened before that, and then I would also have to go through this huge family thing, it wouldn't be worth the pain, it's just, it would be very annoying, especially, some people can be very steadfast in their beliefs, and, this could have been a year-long thing for her that would really, like, affect her in the future, but still, I'm just kind of like, like, yeah, but it's kind of yeah, but situation, But I think here's a comment that is a little bit more in the direction of, the being nice. So let's read this. It says, I had a roommate during undergrad with a conservative Muslim family who couldn't know she lived with anyone who drank alcohol or were male. She communicated this in the beginning, and we were okay supporting her. No relatives ever slept over, and when they visited, we would hide the alcohol, empty the recycling, and pretended the boys didn't live there. One time her brother stopped for a surprise visit. We just pretended the male roommate who was home was my boyfriend. It wasn't a hardship because we loved and supported her, and everything was communicated in the beginning. So we had a reasonable and non-burdensome plan in place. And someone else commented to this. I like this. A lot of these comments don't really seem to understand the consequences of OP's roommate. Yes, she chose this living situation, but she's also probably trying to navigate who she wants to be with, who she expects to be in a very clear oppressive situation. What? Opie has every right to say no, but I think it'd be really kind of him to take one for the team so that his roommate can continue to live somewhat freely. It's one day. Like, I get it, but also realistically, he didn't have to. Is it nice? It is, I do feel like, okay, I do feel like maybe there would have been a solution that Dana would just bring her mom for like a little bit and then get her mom a hotel or whatnot, okay? Like, that would have been kind of my solution for this problem, but I'm also someone who doesn't really like to inconvenience other people with their problems. So this would have probably been my solution, but there could be multiple reasons for why that doesn't work, But I feel like I find it a bit weird that the mom's gonna be there for like 24 hours, But I'll read one last comment because I think this is pretty good. So, this is one of those things where Reddit is going to tell you you're right because technically you are, and that Sana is horrible for asking this of you. In real life though, if you cared about your roommate at all, you might have tried to consider her request. For you, it's the discomfort of one day and one assignment. Your middle ground for her still has the potential of blowing up her life. For you, it's about fairness. For her, she's trying to break free from a very controlling upbringing without losing her family. I had a few Muslim girlfriends growing up. At that age, the desire to break free from your parents while still wanting to end their love is huge. A friend or someone with a lot of compassion might be a little more willing to help out. So no, you aren't an asshole for declining her request. I can see why she made it though, and why she's upset and no longer feels the need to be nice to you, because in her eyes, you don't care about her well-being. I'm going with not the asshole. Being a young woman with Muslim parents is fucking hard to navigate. Alright, I had to do a little small break because I think our pins got collected, but where was I? I think that comment kind of nicely wrapped up what we were saying about this story here. I mean, realistically, I already knew he But yeah, I think this is one of those cases where all's well ends well, you know. So I'm quite happy to hear that the visit hopefully went swimmingly. So let's read another story. This might be our last one, maybe not. We'll have to see how we go. But this is for all my Disney girlies, I think. Because I mentioned it's Disney, but let's go. Okay, I just got like a little aneurysm trying to read this title. I have no idea what it means, but the story's called Am I the Asshole for Banning My Wife's Disney Divorce Friends Plug-ins from Our House? What? Alright, but my wife's friend Melissa, 49 female, is staying with us for a few weeks while she sorts her life out. We have a large home and are very happy to have house guests. She's leaving her husband after 25 years of marriage because she wants to move to LA and work at Disneyland. This sounds like a bad sitcom, but I'm afraid it is real. Both she and her husband are equally culpable for the failure of their marriage and really bring out the worst in one another. Their relationship has been in a state for as long as I've known them. The problem is Melissa showed up with an arsenal of room scents and sprays and plug-ins. The smell, teenage girl with a sight of forever chemicals slash they Disneyland has completely taken over the hallway, the family bathroom, my office, and even down 2 flights of stairs to the foyer drawing room and living room. It's strong, it's nasty, and it's made of and smells like all the chemicals that we usually avoid. Sidebar, we've been cleansing ourselves of chemical nasties and have curated our home to smell clean and subtle. It's part of what makes it feel like home. Now it just smells like teen spirit. Melissa is genuinely lovely and in a vulnerable spot, and I don't want to make her feel unwelcome. But it's our house, and this is something we've been intentional about. However, outside of our personal feelings about plug-ins, it feels really out there to rock up in someone else's home and decide to bring your own plug-in scents to totally change the smell of the house. I mentioned how strong the smell was, assuming it was room spray, and how it was overtaking every room. She said, yeah, the plug-ins are pretty strong. I was so shocked I asked her to remove them. Those room sprays are pretty strong. Would you mind keeping the door closed if you're using them? And spiraled a bit when I heard her say plug-ins, plural. My wife told me I was being an asshole for making her uncomfortable when she's going through a lot, and then I got bitched to her about it was over the line to ask her to stop. I was incredulous that she thought it was okay to change the scent of our house. Am I the asshole here, like my wife says? I felt pretty justified in my complaints. Okay, that isn't edit, but first of all, I think he's not the asshole. I think it is a very, very reasonable request, and it is very out there for someone else to come to your house and chuck out plugins everywhere, okay? Like, I'm a migraine girly. Obviously, this is kind of not mentioned here, so it seems to be not an issue, but like, I will get migraines from this stuff, okay? Like, I'm not even joking. I get migraines over the most random stuff, okay? I literally get migraines if I don't blow my hair within 5 minutes of coming out the shower, because then, like, my neck being cold for like 10 minutes is just like reason enough for me to develop a headache, okay? And from those strong scents, I would, like, if not on go. If it's just about changing the smell, truly, I think this is kind of like a weird thing, you know. This is almost like someone staying in your house repainting your walls because they don't like white walls, they want pink walls. You know what I mean? I feel like this is just one of those things where you gotta respect the house rules of your host and just like live with the discomfort for a month of not living in your heavily scented own home. You know, do what you want in your own home. But I'm sure, you know, if they were staying over at her place and would plug all her plugins out, you know, because the scent is too strong, she would also be very confused about this and wouldn't love how it goes. So I think this is just a case of respecting the house rules and boundaries of your host, who's super nice and trying to help you out. You know, I don't understand having to be difficult in that situation, you know. I don't know, plug these things out. You can have one maybe in your room, you know, who cares? Maybe they don't mind, you know, but it also sounds like they're everywhere. They're probably in multiple rooms, you know, she's hit them well or whatnot. So I feel like she's definitely out of bounds here, and it's not an unreasonable request to ask, okay? You're already doing the nice thing, letting her stay, you're already supporting her through whatever she's going through, but you'll home your rules, period, you know? You're not like requesting her to walk around in underwear, you know, every day. It's just such a minimal thing, you know? But let's read the edit. Okay. To address the frequently asked questions, the plugins are already gone. The conversation pivoted from "could you please keep the door closed when you spray the room" to "can you please remove the plugins?" She apologized and removed them immediately. I also spotted after writing the post that the intake vent for the central air was about 12 feet from where one of the plugins was. This explains how the whole house got gunked up so quickly. The smell still hasn't gone 24 hours later. In the part of the conversation where the plugins were revealed, my wife informs me that my facial expressions were all over the place, a mix of shock and disgust. I maintained a friendly but firm tone when I asked her to remove them, and explained my reasoning clearly. I kept the conversation by saying I hated the smell of them, which was unkind and deeply unhelpful. In my defense, genuinely, I do hate the smell, and I was so thoroughly flabbergasted that an adult would think this is okay to do that I made an unguarded comment. Okay, this is all bad. I'm happy she removed them. This is again, you know, and swallow as well, you know. I feel like honest mistake, but then again, you know, it's literally like if you would start putting rocks on their floors, you know, because you don't like wooden floors or whatnot, like it's a bit unhinged, okay, to go around and room spraying, plugging in someone else's home. But whatever floats your boat, you know, or whatever you're into, we're not judging, but do it in your home, okay? Do it in your home, and don't do it in someone else's home. I think that kind of like sums it up. Let's like read 2-3 reviews, you know, comments. So the top comment is, "Not the asshole, she's making you uncomfortable in your home." Yeah, obvious. Someone said, "Not the asshole, most plugins give me a major headache." Oh, okay. So actually, OP said the same, and I need to be able to focus in my office to keep my job that pays for the house you are staying in. Okay, see that? Like, I think that the second headache comes in, like, you're out, you know, like, oh, stop. Someone said she didn't ask anyone, not your wife either. If so, not the asshole. No, she just set them up one day as if this was a perfectly normal thing to do. Yeah, it's not. It's not. I fear it's not. It is not a very normal thing to do. But I think we'll keep this one short. So we have pizza. Because it started the city quite early and now it's like a lot later. So excuse me getting my midday excitement out, okay? But the next story is called Am I the Asshole for Not Changing My Daughter's Wedding Venue? Even though my sister's husband proposed to his 22-year-old mistress there last month. So get it, like, I have no idea what was said anyway. I, 51 female, put down a $20,000 non-refundable deposit in his gorgeous beachfront estate for my daughter. Let's call her Amy's 26 female wedding next September. We booked it 18 months out. For context, and without revealing too much, it is the venue in our area and has been Amy's dream wedding spot in all of her Pinterest posts. Last month, my sister, let's call her Carol, 53 female, found out her cheating ex-husband, let's call him Mark, 55 male, proposed to his co-worker, 28 female. She was 22 when they started having an affair. Who he had been having an affair with. The woman posted engagement photos from the same venue, specifically the beautiful beach area where Amy plans to have her ceremony. Carol is obviously destroyed. She called me sobbing, begging me to change venues. She says she can't watch Amy get married where Mark proposed to a girl younger than his own daughter. Can't smile for photos on that beach. I feel sick for her, I do, but $20,000 non-refundable deposit. Save the dates are already sent. Amy's dreamed of this venue since high school. Everything else is booked or 3 times the price. I told Carol I can't lose 20,000. Okay, I'm really trying to get us into here. $20,000 and crush Amy's dreams because Mark is trash. Period. Carol says I'm choosing money over her mental health and then I'm forcing her to relive the worst betrayal of her life for pretty pictures. Then you fucking pay for it, then like. I also talked to Amy about it and she does not want a venue. I cannot say this. Oh my god, that's such a tongue twister for me. Wedding venue. There we go. It is not her fault. Mark, who's been out of all our lives in the last 5 years, ruined that place for Carol. Carol called Amy a spoiled brat who wouldn't understand real pain. Carol's a bit dramatic. Now Carol's skipping Thanksgiving. Mine and Carol's side of the family, her daughters, and to some extent my parents say I'm heartless. The place is cursed anyway. Why should we host Amy's big day there? My husband's side of the family says Carol doesn't get to hijack Amy's wedding because her husband is a cheater. Am I the asshole for not switching venues? That story is so hilarious and so tea. Listen, Carol, I'm sorry, but like, you pay $20,000 then and find them another venue. How delusional do you, like, I'm sorry, but like, how delusional do you have to be to ask someone to lose $20,000 and have their wedding somewhere else, probably in a whole different time, because you feel weird about the location? Like, I really get it, okay, this sucks for her, this is super painful, man. Like, I'll say this again, okay, because like, I'm really outing myself very apprehensive of men from like the get-go. I don't know, I just haven't had the best experiences with them. But there's some lovely men out there, okay? I have a few friends who are male, like my stepdad is amazing, my grandpa, you know. I know some of your boyfriends treat you girls like queens, okay? So I love that for you, I love that for us. But there's so many men who just ain't fucking shit, and Mark over here is clearly one of them. Because what do you mean, you're a grown-ass man and he cheated with a 22-year-old? A 22-year-old? Like, do you find it in primary school or like where? Like, it's just creepy as fuck. Anyway, manage it. But Mark is neither, you know. But Carol, I'm sorry, but you're being very dramatic and you're losing the plot. You're losing the plot. It's my caffeine kicking in from my coffee 1 hour ago, but like, unfortunately, Carol, I really do have to tell you, you're very dramatic, you're acting like a baby, and you're losing the plot. You cannot ask someone to spend 20,000. Do you know how much that is? Do you know how much that is? That's a 2 with 4 zeros. Do you know how long people have to work for that? Like, you pay for that then, you know. Like, this is a pet peeve of mine. I hate when people come and they have a problem with something, but they expect you to solve this problem for them instead of offering up a solution, okay? Miss Carol is not bringing a solution here, okay? She's like, oh, do you want to spend 20k on me? Or like, I'm not, you know, girl, I'm so sorry, but like, you're uninvited. Just don't come. It's fine, it'll be super awkward when she comes, and like, no one wants to have her sobbing in the corner on this wedding, okay? So, I'm sorry, Carol, but you're uninvited. Like, I really truly feel for her, okay? Like, this actually does suck, and would not be like nice to go to, not nice to see, you know. But I'm sorry, Carol, you're a grown woman. You're a grown woman. And the circumstances here are not that easy, okay? It's not like they're going to a restaurant for dinner, and they're refusing to, you know, make a different reservation. It's literally a $20,000 wedding, and your niece's favorite wedding venue and whatnot, you know, like, people are so self-centered and delusional, okay? And unfortunately, in this case, you know, if it was like day one, you know, or they're thinking about it and they wouldn't have booked anything yet, and she'd be like, okay, like, kind of not. You know, I still argue that the bride, if she really wants to get married there, she should get married there, you know. But at this point, it is such an unhinged and unreasonable request from her. I do not understand how other people are supporting this Delulu, okay? So the top comment is, in quotations, who's been out of all our lives for the last 5 years. And then they said, Carol has had 5 years. It is sad that the wounds are fresh and deep, but this isn't your daughter's issue to repair, not the asshole. And then someone said, Talia, you'd rather pay for some therapy than lose the $20,000 that she needs it. 5 years, let's move on. You know, I don't know, she doesn't have to be moved on. I feel like she's very right in being sad. You know, everyone is on her own timeline with healing from something like that. This show must have been traumatic for her, but like, I unfortunately feel like Carol's really overreacting here, and the easiest solution would just be for Carol to not come. Because listen, like, you're the only one who's having this issue. I get you'd want to be part of this wedding, but if you don't feel like you want to be there, I'm sure everyone is going to be really understanding that you're not there, and you'll come later to, I don't know, the reception. You'll be like at the actual wedding, you know, you'll go to the courthouse with them. You'll literally in the end just say, okay, like, calm the fuck down. And like, no one is changing the entire wedding venue just so you can attend, because this is kind of what it like comes down to, yeah. sorry, Carol, if this is, too hurtful for you, you just cannot come, okay? Hate to break it. Someone else said, info just to be clear on the timeline here. You say Mark is the ex-husband and has been out of all lives for the last 5 years, so they divorced 5 years ago. Mark proposed just last month. Sorry, Carol, but if you've been divorced for 5 years, you need to GF what he's doing now. Why was Carol even checking the mistress's post? Someone said OP specified in a comment that Carol found out about the affair and split from Mark 5 years ago, and then Carol saw Mark's engagement pics announcement last month. There you go. I feel like Carol's really weird. Yeah, like, again, she can heal on her own time. I get that she would feel sad about this. This would, like, open a lot of wounds, but just, unfortunately, you cannot come to the wedding. Someone said, not the asshole. If Carol can't bring herself to go to that spot, that is sad, but that's all it is. There's no need for you to lose your money and for your daughter to lose the venue she wants. IP said, thank you for the thought. I really feel for Carol, I really do. And it's so hard to not have my sister support her niece's best day. Yeah, Carol's a grown woman. She's a grown woman. Yep. Someone said, not the asshole, I didn't even really need to go past a 20k non-refundable deposit in this economy. I wouldn't let $20 slide, let alone 1,000 times that amount. Not the asshole. Someone said, same, my head exploded at the 20k part. And literally same, and as long as Carol does not offer to refund that, or this ask is so unhinged that it's diabolical, okay? And I feel like we do not say anything more. Oh my god. Oh my god, okay, I just found a post by a comment, okay? And I said, update, Carol is willing to pay Amy the $20,000 non-refundable deposit, essentially paying Amy not to host her wedding at that venue. I'm guessing Carol is using her alimony money for this. Amy is deeply unhappy with Carol. To her, even with the $20,000 being covered, finding a new venue and reorganizing everything would be a huge hassle. I'm on Team Amy, but I feel like I'm losing half my family over this. And then they said, timeline clarification, I booked and paid a $20,000 non-refundable deposit for Amy's dream wedding venue 18 months ago. Carol's ex-husband had an affair with a woman who was 22 when it started, 25 years ago, now 28. He just proposed to the mistress a month ago at this same unfortunate spot. I'm so sorry, I was all for Carol and her individual healing journey. However, if Carol is willing to pay $20,000 for someone to change the wedding venue so she can attend one singular day of a wedding of someone else's passion, of someone else's wedding, that is so deeply unhinged just because she does not want to go there. Okay, I'm sorry, I was trying to defend Carol, okay, but this is where we cross the line, okay, my girl Carol. Unfortunately, I do think at this point that we've reached in the story, you are in a desperate need of a good therapy session and some healing, because spending $20,000 on that is deeply unsettling, and it sounds like it's all her money as well. So that is problematic. That's problematic, to say the least. Oh god. The wedding is 18 months away. Carol needs to work on her mental health between now and then. When X has a baby at a local hospital, will everyone have to use a different hospital? She's in pain now, but she will need to heal, otherwise she will be miserable. Yeah, listen, I think she's in a very, very unreasonable state right now, because I think, truly, do let me know if you're of another opinion, and let me know your reasoning for this. But I think we can probably mainly realistic, even if she pays the 20,000, you know. But the like 20,000, it's just, you know, that is really like pushing me over the edge here for in the story, because if she's willing to pay that, you know, just for one day, I think my girl Carol really is very vulnerable right now, and like in a really bad place. I'm guessing like this must have brought up a lot of trauma for her, but that being said, it seems like this is all very fresh, and she's kind of like right now in that stage. I don't care, you know, she's very unreasonable, and the like that she wants to pay 20,000, you know, that is just, that's so unreasonable that I would really like. I don't think anyone can talk any sense into her right now. I think she's very much like laser focused on one issue, and she cannot get over it right now. If I do think that at this point she should consider a bit of a therapy session, but I also think that at 18 months this will have kind of scabbed over, you know, this will not be as bad as she thinks it is right now. And I think OP and her daughter, they're just gonna have to stick it out against their family, and I think Carol might need some professional help at this point, because it sounds quite unreasonable, and really like she's very traumatized by this. But I think in 18 months time we'll have a way different situation, and she'll be in a better place. I don't think it'll be a good idea to take her up on the offer for her to pay, you know, because I think right now she's so in a place of hurt and desperation that the like shelling out 20,000 for this, like it'll literally be all her life savings or whatnot. It'll be so irresponsible to let her do that, you know, like no. We're sticking with the OG plan. We're not changing venues. Carol's not spending her money in that. And if Carol feels like she cannot go there, unfortunately Carol cannot come to the wedding. Carol can be invited, and he'll have to see in 18 months. I think this is how it's gonna have to happen, unfortunately. But yeah, man, that's I really hope this will kind of solve itself up a little bit, but yeah, what's crazy. I feel like though this is all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I am very intrigued to see if we'll maybe get an update on the story, but yeah, that was a wild ride as a last story, but I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed all the other stories.